Take those fragile years, all your worry and tears, and put them on me. Oh, I must admit, when I think of how far we've come, it was worth the risk, 'cause it dug us a deeper love. Never in a million years did I think I'd get so lucky. Never in a million years did I think you'd be mine. And now I can't imagine a life without you, and every song that I write's about you. Just thought you should know I'll never let you go. Never in a million years. Never in a million years. Honey, I've been thinking about how we've come to be found in this moment. Makes it easy to believe, must be more to you and me, something magic. And I must admit that every morning I wake up, either I must be dreaming or I must be lost in love. Never in a million years did I think I'd get so lucky. Never in a million years did I think you'd be mine. Now I can't imagine a life without you, and every song that I write's about you. Just thought you should know I'll never let you go. Never in a million years. Never thought life could be so good, but it's so good with you. Never thought life could be so good, but it's so good with you. Never thought life could be so good, but it's so good with you. Never thought life could be so good. Never in a million years did I think I'd get so lucky. Never in a million years did I think you'd be mine. And now I can't imagine a life without you, and every song that I write's about you. Just thought you should know I'll never let you go. Never in a million years.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Better Man Show. Thank you for joining me today one more time. And this is a show where I document my journey on becoming the best version of myself for this year as well as the years to come, right? And you're welcome to join along in the journey. And thank you for showing up as well, right? Whether you're watching this live right now or in replay. And if we are friends, shouldn't surprise me that you know who I am. But if you're not friends, don't be a stranger. Wherever I am popping up on your radar, just hit me up. So, this is a show about life, business, and technology, and I do a little bit of testing as well. I do the testing, so you do not have to. And if I'm showing up on your radar in some other platforms, do drop me a comment so that we know where you are watching us from. Thank you so much. And if you are here for the first time and wondering what is this all about, this is actually the 94th time I'm saying something like this, because exactly 94 days ago, I started a 100-day live stream challenge. Now, it started as a personal discipline challenge. I wanted to see whether I could build some personal discipline muscles in the live streaming arena. Never done it before. So it was kind of an interesting challenge to do, right? And it was inspired by somebody called Andy Frisella. He has a challenge called 75 Hard. If you just Google for 75 Hard, you will be able to see. And his challenge is really, really interesting. So do check him out if you want to. He was the reason behind the inspiration, right? And today's show, I want to talk about the top 7 things to do for successful live stream. The past, so I'm kind of prepping for day 100 because this is a 100-day live stream challenge, right? So as I prep for day 100, I've been taking down notes and things I'm learning and also questions I've been getting from people. I kind of wanted to reserve that for day 100, but I felt that, well, it could benefit some of you as well. So I might as well share it now. And the thing about sharing things early or more than once is that sometimes other intuitions or insights may come as I share, right? So I kind of want to do it now, just as like a preview for you if you are here joining me today. The top 7 things to do for a successful live stream, and then I might repeat this again of day 100, but slightly different format because I am also in the process of collating the data of the past 90 something days. Of course, by 100 days, I'll be collating the data for 100 and some patterns that have emerged, some patterns that have um, popped up, and I can obviously share some of these things with you, right? So let's get going just for this. So the first thing before the live, right? The first thing for a successful live stream before the live is to announce and or schedule your live, right? If you can announce it or schedule your live beforehand, it would be best to let your audience know beforehand, hey, I'm going live at this time, hey, I'm going live at that time, and kind of prep them for it. So that's something you do before the live. So, and of course, if you can announce it in the various channels that you are, let's say you're doing a Facebook Live, it might be a good idea to announce it on your timeline and also on your page if you have a page, and also announce it on even inside your stories, right? So that could be some of the things that you can do, right? And that's to prep people for it. Sometimes it's not that you don't want to, it's not that people don't want to hop on your life, it's just that they may not even have remembered or known about it. It's kind of like a trailer. So you're doing a trailer for it. Now, of course, um, I'm talking about live streams when you're trying to maximize the impact. You're trying to maximize the impact of your live streams, whether it's doing for a business or even like this personal challenge. It might be a good idea to do all these things, right? So that's before the live, right? So schedule it or announce it. Now, most of the live streaming platforms or live stream applications, or even if you go live directly on Facebook itself, there is a scheduling function most of the time, right? So just explore the platforms and learn how to schedule an event or schedule a live stream in advance so that your audience knows that you are going live at a certain time. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to go live at a fixed time every day. Just good to let them know when to go live. Now, of course, that brings another point, which is it might also be a good idea to have a fixed time every day so that your audience kind of know when they can expect you to be live, right? But it may not necessarily be the case depending on your needs and your use case. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, which is also something before the live, is that you need to think up a scroll stopping headline. You need to think up a scroll stopping headline. Now, because regardless of whether it is Facebook, Instagram, or any channels, you will find that people are scrolling, right? People are scrolling and the timeline is going up. And you could ask yourself, what are some of the titles or headlines that has actually stopped you from scrolling and help and capture your attention, and therefore you watch something for at least a short while. Now you notice, if you observe your own behavior, you'll notice that a lot of times you might also scroll and then you stop and then you go on, right? So but at least you stopped. So the important thing now is that you kind of need to think about some of these scroll stopping headlines, because that's the first thing that will capture people's attention. and then they will stop. So the chances of people actually watching your live is going to be important, right? So that is a very important idea. Now, I've also been, like I said, I've been collating the past 90 over days of, I've not finished all, but I noticed a certain pattern for certain types of headlines. The viewership numbers are higher. Certain types of headlines, the viewership numbers are not great, right? And also there are some surprises inside there as well. So I do have some resources on how to craft a scroll stopping headline. And if you're keen on getting some of these resources, just send me a private message. I'm happy to send them your way, right? So that's the second thing you need to do before your live stream, is to think up a scroll stopping headline. Number 3, half an hour before the live, start to engage your audience or start to be active on the platform that you are going to go live on. It's kind of like priming the pump, right? If you have, I think most of us have never tried this before, but imagine the days when you had to pump water from a water well. The first few pumps, it don't get you any water at all. You kind of have to go for a few times before it gets it going, and then the water starts to flow, right? So for most of these social media platforms, you need to prime the pump. You need to prime the viewership pump before you go live, so that when you go live, they will send you audience, right? The whole idea about these platforms is that they are the business model is naturally advertising and eyeballs and attention, right? They are their commodity that they want from you is your attention. So they want you to stay on the platform, whether it's Facebook or of Instagram or any of these platforms, for as long as you can, because it's kind of like in the days of television, for example, right? If you are glued to the television, then they have the viewership numbers to be able to sell the advertise the ad slots, right? The ad spots. So like in between the shows, there's an advertising spot, and because they know that certain shows are more popular than others, they can sell it at a much better price. So it's exactly the same when it comes to social media now, right? So if you prime the pump, you are kind of letting the platforms know that, hey, this person is engaging with the platform. This person is engaging with people and so on. And maybe he's not a robot. He's a human being. Maybe there might be some interest, and he's going live. Why not I send some audience along the way and see whether that show that he's doing is capturing people's attention or not, right? So that is why you need to do that roughly about half an hour before the show. That's a good idea. So that's the third thing, right? Next tip: 10 minutes before your live, or when you start your live. Now you can do it in two ways, but it's always a good idea to have a slightly lengthier pre-show countdown. So I have chosen something like about 3-4 minutes, because again, this is a personal discipline challenge, not really for a business kind of show, right? But if you are literally doing this for your business and you want to maximize impact of your show, then it's a good idea to have a 10 minutes pre-show countdown. You could do it in two ways. You could do it in before the show. So for example, if your show is supposed to start at 10, you could start it at 10 minutes before 10. And then uh, music or anything, or even just showing people behind the scenes of what you're doing. Kind of like what I do, I have a overlay over my screen and music is playing, and I could be doing some things as I'm listening or as I do the countdown. I'm also touching up some things as well if it's necessary. Um, but the audience can see that there's something going on. Now, of course, music is a good idea because at least they get something to listen to while waiting for you to actually start the show proper. The other way, obviously, is to start it exactly at the time that you start. So, for example, if you are planning to go live at 10, and when you go live, then you start your countdown, And basically it's kind of like a movie theater where before the actual movie starts, you're letting people stream in, find their seats, and get their popcorn and all that, right? Now, so that's another way. So it really depends. You could try and test out what works for your audience. Which is it 10 minutes before, or is it like you start the show? But you see, the thing is that when you do something like that, your audience also starts to understand your flow. So maybe some of them say, okay, I actually want to catch his show at 10, and I know that he has a 10 minutes warm up or countdown. So I'm going to just make my coffee, get some drinks or get some things, and I'll be ready by 10:10, something like that, right? So you kind of help your audience to get ready for your show as well, right? And why 10 minutes? Because it's shown that it kind of takes roughly that amount of time for the social media platforms to kind of have prime the pump for you, right? And also because that's allowing people time to observe or watch your show, right? So for example, your show may be already showing up on the timeline, but during the 10-minute time frame, people have noticed you, so they are starting to hop onto your show, right? So that is why 10 minutes is a good number. The statistic shows is about 8.5 minutes thereabouts, right? So that's another tip for you. Next tip is, so we talked about before, now is during the live, right? So during the live, the moment you get going, it's always a good idea to tell your audience what you are going to tell them. So kind of let them know what the show or this particular episode of your show is going to be about, especially in the first few seconds. Um, Sometimes I catch certain shows where the first few seconds, the the host is apologizing for not starting yet or waiting for people or telling people that okay, we're going to get started in a while, we're letting people stream in and all those things. And I typically will scroll away when it's like that, but I tend to stay on for shows when the moment it starts, I know what I'm in for, where the host or the program tells me that today's show we're going to talk about these things, right? And after that, whatever else you do, at least I know that I'm in for this. And if it doesn't really capture my attention, obviously I'm free to go, right? But of course, again, that also comes into play your scroll stopping headline. Now, of course, your headlines must match your content. Okay. Please don't do those clickbait things, where you have a one headline that will capture people's attention. They come and join your show, and then your show has got nothing to do with that, right? So that doesn't help. So as you start the show, get into, or at least let the audience know what are you going to talk about for the show, so that they know they have a mental expectation, right? Now, if it suits their needs, they will stay. If it doesn't suit their needs, some of them will leave, which is totally fine, right? Which is 100% fine. So that is during the show, telling them exactly what you want to say. Now, of course, it's always a good idea to repeat it a few times during the show, because, like we mentioned before in another episode, that not everyone will join your show from start to finish. And because it's not like a TV program, it's not like a movie show where people will hop into the theater when the show starts. Sometimes people will join you mid show, and if you can remind them again, like what the topic is about, like today we're talking about the top 7 tips for you to have a successful live stream, right? So I've done the same thing, I've just repeated that. Then at least it's a good chance for them to figure out what is going on, right? What is going on. So that's another tip for you during the show. And the next one, also during the live. So again, especially if you are doing this for a business and you are trying to maximize impact, always have a call to action, CTA. Always have a call to action, a CTA. So it could be asking them to drop uh, um, go to a link to download something. If you are running a show a pre-show to sell, let's say, a workshop, then you may want to give them the call to action. And if you join the workshop now, there's a how many percent discount or anything like that. So have a call to action, particularly if you're doing a business related kind of thing. And of course, always remember to tell your audience to like and share your show, because it's not that people don't want to do that. Sometimes they might just have forgotten, right? And then when you do that during a show and you remind people, hey, if you're liking my content, if you're liking what you're listening or watching or learning from this show, then do us a favor and like and share, so that more people can find us, right? And when you do that, a lot of people would actually do it. And like I said, it's not that people don't want to like and share your content. A lot of times is that as they are watching your program or you're watching your live stream, they may not have remembered that they should do that. So literally asking them to help you in that sense can help you. So have a call to action, and of course also reminders for them to like and share and subscribe. If there is a subscription capability. So, for example, for YouTube, a lot of the content creators, they would always say subscribe and click the bell, right? Because on YouTube, when you click subscribe, it is kind of like a AI level of subscription. It doesn't mean that you will be notified of everything. You need to click the bell to select, like, do you want to be notified for all new videos, or do you want to just be like a smart selection kind of idea? So a lot of times for YouTube creators, content creators, they will ask you to like, subscribe, and also click the bell, right? So that's the thing. Now, and of course, every platform is a little bit different. So for whatever platform you are choosing, follow the platform and do a graphic for your platform, right? So that's what you can do. Okay. And the last one, after you finish your live, this is the after the live, what you need to do, and that is post show engagement. So before the live, you need to prime the pump and engage your audience, right? After the show, you also need to engage the audience and show appreciation, especially for people who may have commented or asked questions and so on. You could reply to the comments. You could like their comments at least. Basically, you need to interact with the audience. The reason for this is because, again, it's kind of like a two-way street. And there are people who comment that and say that, hey, I'm doing all these things, but yet I'm not getting any engagement from my audience. But when you look at and then when you kind of, if you're consulting them and you're looking at their shows, and then you look at it and realize that, I noticed you have all these people who have commented on your show, but you didn't reply them or you didn't engage them. Now, so when you don't engage the people who engage with your show, then again, you are sending a signal to the social media platforms that maybe you're not such a engaging person, and therefore they don't send you more people to watch your show and more engagement, right? So the thing is that no matter what level of a show you're at now, I mean, as you start, obviously, it only makes sense that there's less viewership, right? And there are less comments, fewer comments, but every comment is precious, right? Every comment and every person who has given you time and their attention is obviously precious. So it's good to engage them, right? It's good to engage them. And then it's kind of like the saying, when you're faithful with a little, you will be given more, right? If you're not even faithful with a little, then why would the universe want to give you more, right? So that's post-show engagement. So this is a post-show engagement. So basically, that's the 7 tips for a successful live stream, right? That's the 7 tips for a successful live stream. Then, as I mentioned, I'm kind of collating some of the data for, like, what are some good scroll stopping headlines, and some are surprises. And I will probably do a recap on all this again during the 100th episode, right? I've um, I've been doing some behind the scenes collation, looking at the things I've been doing and taking some screenshots of day one and along the way, right? So looking forward to day 100. And of course, thank you so much for joining me on day number 94. This is your first day. Where have you been? If this is not your first day, thank you so much. I do truly appreciate, and especially friends and even strangers who have taken time to either private message or drop a comment, and especially encouragements. You'll be surprised, you know. So I've always said this: if you are thinking of doing something like this for yourself, don't wait, just do it. You'll be surprised at how many people are rooting, will be there to root for you, right? So, um, just do it. It's going to be great and it's going to be fun. I had a blast. I've been having a blast for the past 94 days, right? So I'm going to take you out with music. And oh, just now you were listening for there's a song called Never in a Million. And remember, I was doing a show yesterday and I found that. So I used it in today's show. So you listen to the starting track called Never in a Million.